Hey guys, thanks for joining me and Marielle for a video tonight. I wanted to do something different and talk about Bitcoin, and she's here to ask questions as I go through this presentation. I'm going to pretend like I'm selling you on buying Bitcoin, even though we've already done this before off camera. Also, if you want to check out her YouTube channel, Mary J's Hauls, we've been doing a merch challenge. Do you want to tell them about it real quick?
An Amazon merch Q4 challenge where we scale up my account from tier 25 organically with full transparency to as high as we can get with as many sales as we can get within this
and hopefully
quarter.
turn a profit at some point. We're waiting for that next tier up because she's been in tier 25. She only had 4 sales though. I think we're up to like 60 sales plus. So yeah, and we're doing it completely transparent. Everything's shown, the designs are shown, the pricing strategy, keywords,
trademarks, etc.
We cover the full spectrum. So we'll leave a link in the description if you want to check that out. All right, let's talk Bitcoin today though, and we're gonna try to go through kind of quick because I know a long video will probably get people to lose interest, but I want you guys to be excited to learn about Bitcoin. And I just want to give you like my high level. We'll give you my high level, even though you already know it. Pitch as to why you guys should own some Bitcoin, and I'm gonna also get into what that means, because it's not like the US dollar where it's like own $1 and it's a $1. No, you can get into like the fractional shares of Bitcoin. So we'll talk about that. And we're going to get straight into it. No plugging any of the free mini courses today. I just want to talk about Bitcoin. And I'm not an expert, disclaimer, not an expert, but spent a lot of time studying like finances, macroeconomics and stuff, especially this year.
Oh yeah.
And I've been following Bitcoin probably since a year and a half ago, like pretty closely. So if anybody missed it, Bitcoin 1 month ago, just 1 month, was trading at 11,500. And if you went back probably like a week before that or a week and a half before that, it was trading around 10,000. And like any equity, or I don't know if this is technically an equity, but anything that trades like this, and there's so much electronic trading these days, a lot of it is has like automated buy and sells that come in. And there's these points of resistance that, you know, at those points, a lot of buy orders tend to come in. And then at certain other points, a lot of sell orders come in. This is not going to be a video about reading charts, but like it held the $10,000 resistance level and then kind of bounced back in a big way. So today it's trading above $16,000.
And that's good for us.
Bitcoin.
Yep.
Yeah. And we'll tell the story about how that was almost really good for you in a second. So in summary, this slide, the takeaway, Bitcoin's going up in value or in perceived value, right? We'll talk about that, what that means. So inflation, you guys are familiar with the concept, right?
Yeah.
What do you think the annual inflation is on the US dollar?
Percentage wise?
Yeah, just guess.
4%.
I mean, that might actually be true. It's hard to actually know. I think there's like 2 different types of inflation. This is just me trying to quote smarter people than me. I think the Federal Reserve says that they get about 2% annualized inflation, but then the next question is like, how do they determine the inflation rate? And the way they do it is kind of seedy. At least I've heard that. You know, it's kind of a little bit fringe.
Yeah.
So, but what we do know is that around the world right now, for one reason or another, you know, a lot of people are blaming the cerveza sickness, but a lot of really smart people will say that the cerveza sickness was just a very convenient mechanism of blame when the monetary systems, these fiat currency systems around the world, were really facing a crisis, and the central banks were facing a crisis, and they actually met, or at least I heard this. I didn't attend the meeting, but I heard that the central bank's annual meeting happens in October each year. And in 2019, when they met, the theme was, we're in trouble and we're out of tools. What do we do next? And what saved them from the banking crisis in 2008, again, I'm just kind of like reciting what I've heard smart people say. I don't want to pretend to be a financial genius, but I heard that in 2008, essentially, like, you know how you guys have heard the terms banks are too big to fail?
Yeah.
And they were essentially bailed out. What did the bailout mean? It means that they were giving helicopter money. Well, my understanding of helicopter money is like the taxpayers bailed them out, and the money is called helicopter money because I think it falls to the top of the funnel. And then it's supposed to trickle down to us, but do you think that actually happens? No, probably not. So, you know, and then a lot of it was used since 2008 for things like share buybacks, where companies were repurchasing their stock shares and increasing the valuations of their companies, which of course they own the shares of and they own stock options of. And it's just this vicious cycle, and the real loser is the common man like you and I. So, but inflation, when they print money to bail out companies, or in whatever they say when they print it, it doesn't really matter what the excuse is, right? When they print money, it's debasing their currency. The value of your US dollar or any other currency, insert name of currency, you know, they're all relative to each other. They have to be in order to like really understand like a value of anything. But it goes down when they print a whole bunch more. And the U.S. has printed something like, or the Federal Reserve has added, I don't want to say printed because they don't actually print money. That's another thing that I've learned from some really intelligent people on YouTube. But they have added $7 trillion or more to their balance sheet this year, and it's starting to go up again. So what does that mean? Well, it means people are starting to position themselves to hedge against inflation. I haven't let you speak yet. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Just cut me off if you have questions.
I will.
I'm on a roll, though. All right, so fiat money, what does that really mean? It just means like really government debt notes that aren't backed by anything. That's why they're able to snap their fingers, or like I always say, ready? I'm just going to start hitting 0. You hear me doing that on my mechanical keyboard? I'm just smashing the 0 key. I'm just creating digital money right now. That's how they do it.
Now, to me, that was a shock. Like, I only learned within the last 6 months or so that the dollar is not backed by gold anymore. But, and I'm sure you're going to get to a point later where you say, investing in gold still holds its value, but who's to say that gold won't go down if it's completely unrelated anymore? Who's to say?
I wasn't even going to talk about that in this video, but that's another really good point that we can just briefly touch on. In March of this year, in February to March, I think, when we had that massive deflationary cycle, everything went down in value. But it's because the US dollar was going up in value, and I'll talk about this in a second. This video is going to go long. But like stocks went down, gold went down, Bitcoin went down, everything went down in value. But again, it's all relative. So when I say that went down, what does that mean? Tell them,
Well,
what do we value them in?
I mean, if you have a dollar and there's inflation,
you need less stuff.
It's more like you have 60 cents, but it's showing $1.
Yeah,
it's worth 60 cents.
So when like
$1.
stocks, gold, and Bitcoin went down, and we measure them relative to USD, what does that really mean? USD went up in value.
That doesn't make any sense.
Because you needed less of them to buy the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's one of the, I know you always say it doesn't make sense, but it does, right? Because if you need more of them during inflation, then you need less of them during deflation. We hit a deflationary cycle because, again, this video could go on forever, but a lot of our financial markets were, and of course still are, hyper leveraged. Like watch the Big Short. We watched it a couple months ago, and there was this like, I don't know if analogy is the right word, but they were all standing in line. And it was people betting on another bet.
A CDO of a CDO of a CDO.
Hyper leveraged. Yeah. And so when like things start to tumble, the whole system comes down really quickly because of they need to cover essentially their, margin. I mean, it's my understanding again, but like their margin trades and their bets, I guess, probably from, shares owned on margin and options and stuff like that.
Well, you take out any foundational beams at the bottom, not even at the top. The top is going to collapse.
Yeah, and that's why it happened so quickly. So that was it was a deleveraging deflationary cycle that we went through. But then at the very bottom, what happened? The Federal Reserve started hitting 0 on the keyboard and backstopping everything by adding a bunch of assets, whether you want to call them junk or not, which they have been buying junk bonds, but adding toxic assets to their balance sheet. So it's the same playbook. And I just wanted to also mention this because this is something really interesting. I forgot where I heard this the other day, but I Googled it and it's true. The Romans were even debasing their own currency back in the day by doing coin clipping. I think I remember where I heard this, by the way. And if you guys want me to drop any of these references in like the description to channels I watch on a regular basis, I'm happy to.
The coins kept getting smaller.
Yeah. Look,
that's so cute.
This was called coin clipping. They would clip the metal because they didn't have like a keyboard to hit 00000 on. So, and I guess their currency was by default backed by
some kind of metal.
By the metals that it was made from. So they did coin clipping. They just clipped the edges, melted the clippings down into new coins. It's genius.
It is genius.
And we've been doing it the same way ever since. I don't even know, like, when was this? I'm so bad at history, but whenever the Romans were around, probably hundreds, definitely hundreds of years. Yeah, 2008, yeah. So it's nothing new, guys. Also, the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 essentially gave, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but because I watched this video that I want to recommend. I'm definitely dropping a link to this video. If you don't have time to watch the full thing, watch the first 20 minutes. It will blow your mind. It talks about how the Federal Reserve was created. And like I said to you when I was listening to it, I was like, if we wrote a script of how this was essentially done, we couldn't write it better than it actually happened in real life, where these nefarious bankers who only look out for themselves I don't want to tell the full story. Just check it out. It's so good. It's so good. They did it all under complete anonymity. Anonymity. It's a weird word to say.
Anonymity.
They like had it planned out where like they couldn't like go to the train station at the same time. They used aliases. The employees at Jekyll Island, where they met off of the coast of Georgia, is my understanding, like they hired temps so that nobody would recognize who was there. Like it was so well planned, and they didn't even plan on writing in the ability to create money. But then when they were there, they're like, well, just go for it. And then they essentially tricked the politicians who probably didn't even read it. And the politicians had to do something about the banks because the banks had just had a crisis where people lost their life savings because the banks were taking money in and then lending it out. And when people came asking for their money, it wasn't there. And this is not like history repeats itself. You can literally Google this, and Wikipedia says like list of banking crises. Because if it happened in 2021, we'd be like, who saw this coming? It's like pretty much anybody who knows anything about history, and not even that long ago. Yeah. So it's just one of these things.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were talking about inflation, I don't know if you have a slide about deflation in there.
No, because I didn't want this to go forever, but it's going to. But hey, we're having fun.
Okay, well, shoot, now I forget my question.
Deflation, dollar strength going up. I have a Dixie chart here. It's probably the next slide.
Why don't?
Nope. Should we jump to it? Here, real quick. We'll go back after this.
I forgot what I was talking about.
This is the Dixie, the DXY, and I'll put a link to this also in the description, but this is talking about the dollar strength index, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this, but this is the 6-month chart from November 14th, 2020 to 6 months ago. Your dollars, by the way, this is something I wish I could get my mom to understand, because like it's like I just don't think she'll get it. But like when you have a bunch of cash, like USD, that's an investment. Like it's a lot of people perceive that as safety. No, it's not safe. No. They're debasing our currency at record pace right now, and it's at an exponential curve. You know, like, and the alternative is what happened in March, by the way. Like that's the thing. That's what people. That's why it won't. I mean, I won't say it won't, but like, remember in March when how bad things were, where the stock market kept hitting circuit breakers because it was selling off so quickly.
Yeah. And now I remember my question, which kind of rolls into this. So in a deflationary market where the value of the dollar is going down, like bonds are going down, gold is going down, everything like that is going down. I know it doesn't even matter talking about the other two aside from the dollar. Mm-hmm. In order to fix that, if I'm correct, wouldn't interest rates need to go to negative? Meaning we would be paying to keep our money in the bank, which would be so absurd and so corrupt.
That's to fix it. To fix the deflation.
To deflect
yes.
You would have to pay the bank to keep your money there.
Oh, that's what I was going to add a slide on, and I forgot.
Well, there you
go. But I don't want to talk forever. That's the only problem. But
we just said what we needed
to say. It's a great point, yes. Like, that's what they do what is it? No. Like, if the U.S. has too much debt, how do you pay off the debt? Well, you just print more dollars. You know, if we owe 50 trillion and we only have 20 trillion in existence, just print 30 more trillion. It debases our currency and makes a McDonald's hamburger cost like 10 times more, but you know, then we pay it off. And the alternative is they raise interest rates. Right now it's not really connecting in my head how that makes a difference, but the thing is to encourage spending and get the economy back, because every time a dollar changes hands in the economy, which is essentially the velocity of money, keep in mind that gets taxed. So the government is able to avoid lowering interest rates, avoid raising interest rates, by money changing hands more and more times, which is the economic engine that chugs along, and that's really hard to restart when it stops, which is why we're probably in a lot of trouble in the next few years, at least that's my understanding, because they tax it every time it changes hands. Yeah. And if it's not changing hands, well, they need a solution. That's what we're running into now. But just this chart just shows, like, you know, if you're invested in USD, like if you log into your bank and you see a bunch of numbers, big numbers, like you're losing value, period. Relative to if you had bought other assets. USD is an asset like anything else.
And if you hear that we're going to negative interest rates, get your money out the bank.
Smart. And the other thing worth mentioning is, like, we don't know what the real inflation rate is, but it's at least higher. Like, I think what are the, see, this is where I'm not an expert, but like I know that there's inflation rate, or no, there's interest rates, and then there's real interest rates. Mm-hmm. And the real interest rate is already negative. Like, what you get on your money on return relative to inflation is negative. So you are losing money. Like real interest rates are negative. I know that.
To some extent, yeah.
Like if you're making 1% a year, but the inflation's 2% a year, you lose 1% a year.
Yeah.
It's just like my house. Like
You
my
won't
house.
see that change in your bank account. But if interest rates, for sure, in front of your face go down to negative, you will see
But yeah,
a
when it
loss
goes
of
to
money.
actual negative, then people will freak out. Even though right now real interest rates are negative.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a game,
Behind the
guys.
scenes.
It's a game. Another game they play is like the tax rate, the tax brackets. They'll go up like 1%. I'm making this up, but I know this is true. So don't quote the actual percentages. But like, let's just say for instance they raised a tax tax rate 1% a year, but they raised inflation 2% a year or 3% a year. What is that? The delta there? That many more people go into the next tax bracket because they're making more money, even though the dollars are worth less.
Yeah.
And then you pay higher taxes. This is nothing new. This is stuff they do. So it's these games. You know what I mean? These games they play. Anyways, just wanted to say banks suck. Banks suck because they close all the bank chapters in this area, like Capital One. They're just closing. They're all I use Capital One. I can't do wire transfers for my FBA business, and when I go, they're understaffed. And it takes forever to do a wire, and only certain people can do the international wire because it's international. And and they charge me so much money. I mean, not so much, but either way, it sucks. Banks suck. When we bought Piggy right here, Piggy, say hello.
Le Piggy.
When we bought Piggy, and by the way,
More for that.
short story about her. She's still sleeping.
Look at her straight little leg.
We actually like are giving Piggy to my parents and getting a different Chihuahua tonight.
You guys are gonna see like
So
8
I'll show
chihuahuas
you-
on our videos.
Yeah, I'll show you the new Chihuahua. And I'll tell that story a different day. But like, I needed to pay you back for Piggy.
Yeah.
And what did I say?
He said I would pay you in Bitcoin, and I said, I want real money. Which, guys, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I should have been paid in Bitcoin because since we purchased Piggy, Bitcoin has gone from the 11,000.
It's gone up like 50 or 60%.
Yeah. I would have been you wouldn't have been pleased.
But the
though.
other side of this too, and we haven't even touched on Bitcoin, but guys, if you're still watching, thank you, and we'll circle back really quickly. And hopefully, I'm just painting the case right now indirectly. This is all going to tie together if it hasn't already. But like I said to her, there's no way for me to give you this money. It's absurd that I can't give you this money, but it's because of these central powers making it hard and nickel and diming us every time we do it. Not every time, but like, you know, I can only send like $750 a day via Zelle because micro chihuahuas are expensive. And I was like, honestly, the easiest way for me to pay you is Bitcoin. It's silly. But if I do that, I'm going to have to pay, I think the fee is like super negligible. It's nothing.
I should have done it, guys.
Yeah, and then your Bitcoin, unlike the USD, is going up by a ton, and we'll talk about why in a sec. But
Well, Christmas is coming up.
Yeah,
I'll take some Bitcoin now.
you want some of these Bitcoins? No, this is gold
Oh,
bullion.
sure.
And just to touch on like another alternative store of wealth, because the three things I'm touching on are the USD, Bitcoin, and gold. So let's just talk about all of them in terms of like spending, like a currency or a store of value. Gold, I'm cool with. Like I buy gold bullion. I buy it on eBay, honestly. Someone's like, you can buy it on eBay. I was like, really? All these gold dealers, they have deals with eBay where I don't think eBay takes a cut, or if they do, it's probably a fraction of 1% because the stuff's expensive. But I've been buying these 1 ounce gold maple leaves. So if you need a recommendation, like I called a couple gold dealers in the area. This is back in March, by the way, when like the cerveza sickness, everybody was freaking out. And I was thinking like, well, if things get worst case scenario, I want to hedge a little bit. So I ended up going and getting a big ass safe, you know.
Diversify.
Yeah.
Diversify.
Just
your
yeah.
investments.
It's not a huge portion of my wealth in gold, but it's like it made
It's
sense.
safety.
Yeah. And I bought some silver, but all of the local shops were out of stock. So I've been buying it on eBay from the legitimate dealers and just getting a little, you know, little by little. They call it stacking. And the thing about gold though, like the good is that it's been a recognized by everybody on earth store of value probably forever. The downside is that like they can always
debase it or
Well,
devalue it because it's not tied to the dollar anymore. So who's to say that what
Well,
if
no,
they
it's-
make
it's a
carbon fiber?
it's a
the
currency
new-
though, so it's not.
Is it though?
Well, it can
anymore?
be debased in a sense because they can always mine more. I mean, you guys can say like, well, eventually they'll run out, but like there's still
Yeah,
a
but
lot
what
more
if it
to.
becomes worthless? What if people are just like, whatever, we don't care
Well,
about
that's
gold
true
anymore.
about everything. That's especially true about Bitcoin if you're going to argue, because the USD is the world reserve currency, gold is gold, and Bitcoin is like the new kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you guys agree or disagree, hit us up in the comments. But
Yeah.
gold is, well, that's the thing. Like they can always go mine more. You know what I mean? So like if the ventures, the people who have like the mining ventures can justify more risk or more expenses on their mining ventures relative to the value of gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of
So it's
course.
like they can like invest more. It's the same thing with Bitcoin, and we'll talk about Bitcoin mining, I guess, in a second. But like, they'll scale up the mining operations if the price of gold keeps going up,
Keeps
increasing.
going up. They're gonna increase the prices of excavating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Or the money invested in excavating.
Yeah,
So
I
like
would.
you can invest in gold miners, by the way, too. If you get like really into gold, like people say the gold miner stocks go up faster than the value of gold.
Ooh.
But another downside of gold that I wasn't even going to talk about, but you reminded me, is like, and I don't understand it exactly. I just know it happens. Is that people don't do what I do and buy the physical gold bullion. They buy like gold ETFs. They call it the paper trade of gold. And if you do that, it's like you're buying into this manipulated game. It allows them to manipulate the real prices of gold, because if you're buying the actual physical gold, which by the way, the governments have been doing like crazy, like China and Russia this year have been doing it like crazy this year. You own it and there's a finite supply. But if you do the paper trade, it's, they're supposed to back it. Like the biggest one is the GLD ETF.
Mm-hmm.
And only 10% of it's something like 10% of it's not matched 1-to-1. It's matched like 10% of the trade of the, I guess, ETF's value, market cap.
Now, since March, overall, has gold gone up? Let's say
I should have done that.
Paper money gold.
Gold hit new all-time highs. Even paper money, yeah. Gold hit new all-time highs this year, probably 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's holding strong.
It's got like resistance. I think it's like 1920 is the. I'm looking up at my monitor, but as if it's there. It's around like I think $1,920 is like a resistance level it needs to hold. And by the way, with the vaccine news this past week, oh God, if I really wanted this video to go on for like 2 hours, I'd talk about that.
Oh yeah,
but
would.
It still is holding good so far, so we're in good shape.
I just wanted to see if it's overall from March, if it's increased, pretty much stayed the same or decreased. But you just
gold's gone on a tear. Gold has gone on a tear. So is silver. So, all right, Bitcoin real quick. Let's talk. I feel like we've done the video too long, and now we're at the whole purpose of the video, and I'm like, we need to speed up. But Bitcoin, as we know, it's decentralized. So nobody can get cute and say, oh yeah, 0.0000 and print new Bitcoin. There's only ever going to be 21 million. I've heard, and again, I'm just citing what I hear, so this isn't from my mouth, but I've heard that like 20% of it, as 20% of it, could be gone forever. So
why? To whom?
Because like you have to store it on some medium. Like it could be like a flash drive. It could be like my computer's hard drive. It could be in a oh man, I'm blanking on the word.
That is a very valuable flash drive. If that's
well, people have like said that they had 100 or 1,000 Bitcoins on a hard drive, and they've dug through like garbage dumps because they threw the hard drive away. Because there was years before Bitcoin started to become like relevant in value.
Yeah.
Like the first transaction ever for Bitcoin was like someone bought like a pizza for somebody else on the internet and got Bitcoin, paid in Bitcoin, and that pizza is probably worth like millions now.
That lucky person.
Yeah.
And even companies that I'm seeing now, like one of my favorites, Alo Yoga. I know they're overpriced, but I know their website allows you to pay in Bitcoin, which a year ago I even considered paying with some of my Bitcoin, and thank God I didn't, because I knew there had to be a reason why all of a sudden they started accepting Bitcoin. There had to be a reason. But I think Alo Yoga is going to take over the yoga world.
That's a good point, and I should have put that as a bullet point here. Like the Bitcoin, the biggest, or I can't speak for other people, but probably one of the biggest like hesitancies about buying it is, what is its use? You know what I mean? Oh, and that's another thing, buying gold. I bought gold with Bitcoin the other day, and I was just like, this is the easiest way to do it and the lowest fees. Like it starts to click. I'm like, hold up, like. And this is what I always tell you when it's like...
I wouldn't do that, though. I would use my cash that's devaluing in value to buy the gold when Bitcoin's increasing in value.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But it's like, you know how I'll say to you, like, I'm early on a lot of things?
Yeah.
And the hardest thing is timing and being patient when you know you're going to be right. And I'm always like, well, then I just go do something else.
Yeah.
Like, what did I have my Moderna call? And it went up 20% this week, and I sold the call, like, last week. So stupid.
It's okay.
Yeah, that was a vaccine stock, Moderna, mRNA. If you guys want to YOLO some
sure
money on the stock
have heard
market,
of
that
it.
one it's so rigged for Moderna to be a big Operation Warp Speed winner at the end. Because they all, never mind. Let's just move on. Bitcoin. All transactions are shared on a ledger. So essentially, like it's because it's decentralized. That means that there are nodes on this network, and I'm not an expert, but this is the blockchain. The blockchain means like when a transaction takes place, like multiple nodes in the network will all get that transaction, some like hash of the transaction ID or something like that. Smart people program this way smarter than me. And they all kind of validate the transaction together. And then if it checks out, the transaction goes through.
But then who's holding all of the Bitcoin?
Well, here's the thing, right? So you get like transaction IDs and Bitcoin IDs, which are unique identifiers. And like, for instance, I have a Bitcoin ID. If you knew my ID, well, I'm not an expert here exactly of how it would work, but I think somehow indirectly you could trace that I own some amount of Bitcoin. Like on the network, you can see people own or certain amounts of Bitcoin, and you can see like when big transactions go through, they call them whales, when whales buy and sell and stuff like that.
So if I had your ID, or let's just say someone random, would they be able to poach?
Well, there's public and private keys, so I don't think like you could use my public key and tie that to me personally, unless I gave it out there. Like you'd probably see on the shared network my public key, which would not be. There has to be some gap there. Yeah. There's a little bit more anonymity there. Again, not an expert, but I know that there's a little bit more than what you expect. And they say that like, oh, Bitcoin's only used for illicit transactions, but they've cracked down on that plenty of times.
Yeah.
So there is a way for it to be kind of traced. But I think where a lot of people get their ID tied to their personal identification tied to their Bitcoin identification is when they're on the exchanges, which is like the marketplaces to buy and sell. And I'll talk about that in like 2 seconds. We're almost done, guys. Okay, so real quick, another reason to take a second look at Bitcoin as a store of value and as an investment, a passive investment that can go increase your net worth. So MicroStrategy, a big company, got their board to approve $250 million purchase of Bitcoin. This was probably over a month ago, so it's not even new news. Because like they're faced with it's like, okay, guys, what do we do? Artificially prop up our share prices, like keep playing this game that these companies are incentivized to play. I mean, you can't even fault them because if you really go digging, it seems like it makes sense to do it. But they're like, no, we're going to play a different game. We're putting some money in Bitcoin. Guess what? Square did too. Even though everybody hates Jack Dorsey. I mean, seriously. Even if you like Twitter, even if whatever political, nobody likes him. He bought $50 million and he owns Square too.
Jesus, their return.
He's so rich. Yeah, he's so rich.
Their return on that, because if they bought it like even buying it
a
month ago.
And they probably dollar cost average,
All I know is in the last 2 weeks, I've seen it go from like 14 to 16,000.
It's crushing. I think I have one more slide that'll show you.
So having $250 million in it, you're making a killing.
So PayPal's allowing users to buy and sell Bitcoin soon. That news broke like last week, I think, and not this past one, but the one before. Yeah. And it sent Bitcoin on a tear. It sent PayPal on a tear. Bitcoin trades 24/7, 365 because the exchanges are open, morning and night. So it's not like the New York Stock Exchange where there's regulations and trading hours. And then another big reason is that it's the fastest horse in the race. If things start really going to shit really quickly, sorry, I shouldn't have cursed, but if things start really getting bad really quickly, Bitcoin is something that you can buy immediately. Like you can literally like run to your computer and place a buy order and get some Bitcoin immediately. And in countries where like we have USD here in America, so we don't have to worry as much of world reserve currency. It's not like it's going to crash overnight, but like there's instances, like for instance, I wanted to buy one of those, what was it? Zimbabwe. I think it was Zimbabwe, like $1 trillion bills. They inflated their currency. Yeah. You'd be a trillionaire. Right? That illustrates the whole concept of like relative value. Cause like I'm a trillionaire in terms of Zimbabwe, whatever, Space Cash, from South Park, Space Cash. If you own one of their $1 trillion notes, but what does that buy you? Right? So if you were in Zimbabwe and you didn't trust the government and you're like, well, what the heck can I do? Cause it's like, what are you going to buy gold? You have to get it mailed to you and then you have to store it. Well, with Bitcoin, you can immediately own it and store it on your hard drive.
But I think it's also important to say that there is a finite amount of Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So let's say everything starts going to shit, and again, no cursing.
No, we just cursed, whatever.
Okay. Well, everyone starts running to their computer to buy some. The price is going to continue. We've seen that happen.
We've seen it in 2017.
I know, but there's only a finite amount.
That's why.
So how is it going to, like, there's no way that Bitcoin can be the future currency.
Oh, good point. I don't know if you queued that up, if you knew what my next slide was going to be. Did you?
No, I didn't.
Well, you queued it up perfectly. If there's only going to be 21 million and 20% are potentially gone forever on like hard drives that were just destroyed, then however many are left, like what's the math? About 16 million and change. Bitcoin is divisible by up to 8 decimal places. So this means you don't have to own a Bitcoin. You can just own some Bitcoin. I mean, to start, just own one Satoshi. If you go out to 8 decimal points, they call it a Satoshi.
That's kind of where I'm at probably. I'm probably in like the 7th, 8th decimal point, but guys, it's still increased in value, so...
And I mean, someone was giving it away on Reddit. That's how I got my first fractional like Bitcoin years and years and years ago. You know, they were just giving it away because it was nothing at the time. And now it's probably worth over $100. Realistically, it's probably worth hundreds.
Yeah.
And that person probably regrets it, but either way, you know, I mean, also at the same time, you could say that if it supports adoption of Bitcoin, then it's going to help increase the price. And the big thing you said, like with Allo taking Bitcoin.
Yeah. So some of my favorite brands are now accepting Bitcoin as payment, but they're huge brands. So you know that they know something.
Yeah.
Because why would they all of a sudden start taking something that they thought was going to be worthless?
Because they have smart financial planners that know that money is relative, right? It's a relative store of wealth. So you don't want to just have USD, especially right now. So, all right, let's rifle through the close of this video. If you are looking at buying Bitcoin, I know this chart looks crazy, but we are at that, well, we're a little bit down and to the left of that arrow that I added to this chart. And I'm a big believer in like chart reading as a good way of finding entries and exits. If you want to do things like swing trade implies you're going to buy, sell, buy, sell. You don't have to buy, sell, buy, sell. If you're just looking for an entry, this channel that we're in right now, you know, we're probably going to, you know, hopefully we get up there and bounce off 1700 or 17,000. That's okay. I mean, we could blow right through too, given that the demand is high and the supply could be scarce. But a lot of these algorithms are set to like automatically sell at those sort of trend lines as resistance. Because if we blow through that, I mean, it's going to go to the moon. Literally, that's what they say, to the moon. But if you're looking to buy, you could, I mean, things tend to not move just straight up and straight down. So you could wait for it to kind of come down and just kind of follow this channel. It's hard to give a exact price because as time moves forward, if you stay in the channel, the resistance levels, if it's going up, are going to keep getting higher. Yeah. So just wanted to give you a quick suggestion though, if you're looking for entries to buy a little bit, or if you're just buying a little, you can go to, I think the next slide, you can go to a place like Coinbase and you can,
or the Cash App.
I'm going to show you one other option after this, but with Coinbase, you can have it automatically buy Bitcoin at certain increments. I think you can set it to like each day, each week, each month.
Oh, I like.
And that way you're adding to your Bitcoin position over time. The only downside of Coinbase is they take a really high fee when you buy relative to other places, right? Everything's relative.
Yep.
The Binance exchange, which I'm going to be completely transparent. I've only ever bought Bitcoin through Coinbase,
Cash App.
Robinhood, and Cash App. And I need to start using Binance. I will start using Binance, but I'm going to put links to both in the description. I would trust Binance probably more than I'd trust Coinbase. I'm not sure if Binance requires a social security number. I know Coinbase does, which means you expect to pay taxes on your Bitcoin because the government, if you use Coinbase, the government knows exactly how much you own.
Wait, quick question. If it's an unrealized gain, meaning you don't sell, can they still tax you on it?
Because they could if they pass a law.
Yeah, but let's say you hold it this year and you have gains or unrealized gains, meaning you didn't sell it to get your money out, but then they tax you on it, and then next year Bitcoin falls.
Yeah, but typically they tax you on your
realized
profit. Yeah, when you sell.
Yeah, when you sell.
And then if you sell at a loss, that's also a tax write-off. But I don't know if that applies to crypto. I know it applies to
stocks. But I'm sure the
stocks.
tax write-off isn't equal to.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
But also like there's certain laws. This is why you hire CPAs and whatever tax attorneys, because like there's laws like that they know. For instance, if you buy a stock and you hold it for at least a year, you get a better tax rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things like that.
But yeah, I guess if you're holding.
I don't know that there's the same thing for crypto though. I don't think there is.
I don't know about crypto.
Part of the downside of Bitcoin is like it needs to be used. The utility case has to build. So if people don't use it, then it's not
nothing.
gaining as much value, you know? So next time you buy from Aloe Yoga, use Bitcoin.
I'm not giving up my Bitcoin.
See, that's the problem. People don't want to give up their Bitcoin.
Why would I want to give up my Bitcoin
Exactly.
if it's increasing?
So here's the thing, guys. These are just ways. These are exchanges. They're ways to buy it. When you buy it from here, move it to your Bitcoin wallet because you don't want to keep it in an exchange. Because if you keep it in an exchange, it's not your Bitcoin.
I wonder if I can place an order with Aloe and request the refund in Bitcoin.
That'd be cool. A good way of getting some Bitcoin. Probably not, though.
But you can pay in Bitcoin. You just can't get refunded in Bitcoin.
Probably.
Oh, that's, yeah.
I don't know. We'll
no,
see.
of course not. Why would they do that? Just like anyone. Why would anyone pay
Well, even if you
with
paid in Bitcoin, would they give you back in Bitcoin?
Doubt it. No way. Why would they?
Not if there's like a gap. Yeah, not if a gap went by.
Too smart.
Yeah, because what if you bought it like a week ago and Bitcoin went from 15K to 16K in a week, and you're like, okay, well if I just get a refund, I just made $30 or $40 or whatever.
But they would probably not refund you that net that you gained.
Well, it's interesting.
They would just give you back that.
Yeah.
That value in Bitcoin, I'm sure.
Oh, that's a good point.
They would probably just give you back the value, not the amount, the decimal.
Also, another thing that I didn't put a slide for, but hey guys, if you're still watching, thank you. You're a champion. There is a Chrome extension you can use that will give you cash back for your online purchases. And I'm like, you're probably like, oh, I've heard this before. Honey or
I love Honey.
Or Rakuten or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, there's a better one. There's one called Lolly, and I'll put a link in the description. It gives you Bitcoin.
What?
Bitcoin. I already sent it to you. You better have signed up.
I didn't know, and I buy a lot.
It gives you Bitcoin. I just
did all my Christmas shopping.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you should have been using it. I know I emailed it to you. It's in your inbox. Anyways, it gives you Bitcoin. So if you guys don't want to buy Bitcoin, but you just want to get it for free from cash back on certain websites, link in the description. I'll put it as the top link. All right, and I think you get money for just using my affiliate link. So check that out.
Oh.
I think it's like $10 in Bitcoin for using it.
Oh.
All right, this is okay. Let's connect the dots and wrap this. These exchanges, you need to get your Bitcoin off of them so that you own your Bitcoin because there's a history. Just like there's history of bank runs happening and the banks don't have your stuff, there's history of Bitcoin exchanges. I don't know that it was bank runs for Bitcoin, but I know that they've like run away with the Bitcoin. That's not good, and that's given Bitcoin a bad name.
How do you get your Bitcoin off the servers?
The exchanges, you can just send it and then you put your Bitcoin ID there. It's super easy. I doubt anybody's even watching this far into the video, but like I can either do a tutorial in the future if there's demand, or just like you can find it on YouTube, I'm sure.
Comment below.
Yeah, you can literally, there's like always a send button. You hit send and then you go to your whatever you want to use for your Bitcoin wallet. I mean, there's lots of options. You can use like paper wallets. I have some alt currencies that I have paper wallets for. It's like a piece of paper. It's crazy. I don't even understand the tech, and I'm a tech guy. I mean, you can use apps like Exodus though, and this will store it locally on your machine. And I know there's alternatives. There's one called like Ninja that was really highly touted. But Exodus has been great for me.
So you store your Bitcoin. You pull it out of the
on an
application.
app on my machine, so I need my hard drive to stay intact.
So should I be pulling my Bitcoin off of the app?
I mean,
I don't
I've got
you should. Two decimal points, maybe 3 if I'm.
The correct answer is yes. You just cannot forget that it's there.
I would.
Yeah, you probably. That's all. It's like maybe you keep it on the exchange and just hope that it doesn't go belly up. So, Exodus is what I use. And,
okay.
And yeah, everything's been good with Exodus. All right, thanks for watching, guys. If you're looking to make some money to buy Bitcoin with, obviously I've got some courses on how I make some passive income. I worked my way out of a 9-to-5 that paid pretty well, using these things, and everything's transparent in the courses. Just launched a Redbubble course, by the way, too. That's been great. Worked on it for 2 months, which is probably a little bit too long, but all right. And that's it. Thank you for watching, guys. Questions, comments, hit us up below. Also, subscribe to Mary J's Halls, link in the description. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Peace out.